Going on, guys? Welcome back to another Sunday watch. This very interesting week ahead of us. The market is going to be closed on Monday. And as far as economic data, we don't have much. I know we do have FOMC minutes on Wednesday. That's just something to look out for. It could cause some slow price action that day. Thursday, we have initial jobless claims. It'll happen before market open. So nothing crazy Thursday. And then Friday, we have consumer sentiment. So there is typically a big reaction off of consumer sentiment. And that'll happen at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern. Getting straight into the watch list, let's not waste any time. The S&P 500, we have been in a range for quite some time from 608 to like 590. We just keep going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And just recently this week, right, from February 7th to February 13th, very consolidating in between 608 and 600, literally back and forth. Very tricky trading conditions if you're trying to trade in a certain direction because it's just ranging, right? So now it looks like we're starting to get out of the range. The longer something consolidates, the bigger the move will be in whichever way it breaks out. So it looks like we are starting to get a break, not fully confirmed yet, but huge supply here at 608 and pretty much the all-time highs at 610, right? So until SPY fully clears and breaks and holds above the all-time high, 610.9, really like 611 really. Um, until we get that clean break and hold of that 611 area, we don't have levels to go off of. But the next psychological level would be 615. On the ES chart, it would be like 6200. That would be the next psychological level in ES. So if we start breaking these highs on ES, 6160, which will correlate to 611 on SPY, 6200 ES is next, and I believe should correlate close to like 615, somewhere nearby that area, maybe a little bit before, but that's pretty much what I'm watching. If we fail to break these all-time highs, a move back down to 602, which is a trend line, bottom of the range that we've been in. That is going to be the next area. If things were to get ugly, below 602 opens up the door a lot lower. Now, I don't know if I see that happening this week, so just keeping those levels in mind. Anything in between, if we get back in this range, I'm going to be risk off. I'm not going to be interested in it. I want the break and I want a clean trend. And as you guys can see, we're starting to hold low, higher lows, higher lows. And as long as we keep holding this trend, that is the direction I want to be trading in. QQQ finally took out a key area of supply, which was this 533. If we get any type of pullback and hold in this area, that'd be a great area for a bounce, honestly. So any type of bounce in here, guys, is it if this area 533 holds, beautiful area to go back long into highs, 539, or if the market just continues to show strength, a break and retest of all-time high, 539. We'll get us to 540, and I'll be using psychological levels from there since we have no levels to go off of. But very strong uptrend on a QQQ here, right? We kept forming higher lows, and overall market's pretty strong because of Nvidia. Nvidia was a beautiful setup from last week. We called this out in the broadcast channel. Filled the gap fill, strong uptrend. And it still looks like it has room. It's still got room to like 142, 141. All right, top of the gap fill isn't until 141.6. Now, how would I trade this? I'd say, the majority move that I wanted to catch, I already caught. But if we do get any type of break and retest of that 141.7 area, then this could just squeeze out into like 150 if it just continues to show strength. I'm just gonna be watching to see if we continue to hold higher lows and higher highs on Nvidia. So as long as this trend line is intact, I will look for a bounce around like this 137 area to get us to move to fill the gap so you could catch a quick scalp to fill the gap fill. But above the gap fill, um, above that 142 area, that's where we could start squeezing into like 145 and then 150s if it continues to show strength. A setup that I like, okay, let's start with my favorite setup for the week. My favorite setup for the week is going to be Airbnb. This is top watch. They had very, very strong earnings and they made a very strong move. So this is technically a post earnings setup. What I'm looking for here is a bounce. I'm looking for a bounce. So let's start on the weekly chart so I can show you guys how I find this type of setup. It starts off with a name that is relatively strong. For example, Airbnb, very strong. We made a move from 130 into 160. I don't want to chase this, right? I don't want to be buying calls at the top because if it falls, you're in the worst possible scenario. So what I want to wait for is a pullback. Where is the next higher low going to be? If this continues to show strength and it wants to keep uptrending, where can my entry be at? So I'm looking for the nearest area of supply or demand, and it happens to be here at 155, 152. Why? Because this was a huge rejection point in the past. Huge reactions off this level. It was used as resistance. When we break resistance, what does it turn into? Support. So next resistance is going to be the 170 area. That is my target on Airbnb. If Airbnb comes and bounces off 155, 153 area, I will be going long into 170. Now, if it doesn't come back and bounce and Airbnb is just too strong, above Friday's high 164 area and that earnings high, which is like 163, 164, I could still take a break and retest off that level with the stop above that level, below that level to take it into 170. So two ways to trade this. If there's also a third way, if the market just opens up at 170, it's a little bit more on the high risk end. You look for reject or break and retest of that area. But the first two scenarios would be the best way that I'll be looking at it. So far, this is my top setup, NVIDIA, and then let's look at Apple. Apple has a beautiful, beautiful uptrend, right? We have a low, higher lows, higher lows. I want to see Apple pretty much break that recent high, 245, to get us a move into pretty much earnings high, which is 248. It's about a $2-3 move. It'll be a decent scalp if we can reclaim this huge area of resistance here. Notice that was a big support back here. Resistance here. If we could take that level out, we could take it up to here. And we're just following the trend, essentially. That's technically what we're doing. Any type of bounce at 242 would be great too. A bounce at this 242, huge demand. Those are two ways I trade Apple. I follow the trend. Anything below 242, I'll start being a little bit more on the bearish end until then following the uptrend. Now, my last setup, there's a couple more. There's a couple more. Tesla, I want to be watching this 360 level. If we continue to reject 360, I'm going to expect a pretty big sell-off on Tesla. Pretty much back down to these recent lows around 330, maybe even 320. If we reclaim 360, then we start pushing back to like 370. So that 360 level is all on watch. 360, 362 area. Keep all eyes on this level for Tesla. Could just be a bear flag. It's been very weak. And we got some relief these past few days. So we want to see, does this relief hold up? Or is it just a dead cat bounce and back to the downtrend? That's gonna be Tesla. Microsoft, I've been trying to tell you guys for a while that this has been my top watch because on the monthly chart we have had two shooting stars on the monthly. That's very strong, right? Monthly candles, the higher time frame you're on, the stronger the candles will be. So the monthly chart candles, two back-to-back months of shooting stars, just shows some weakness on Microsoft. I do believe like it could get us to move, below 400 back down to like 390. Um, and this will be a big area of demand where we can start flipping long again, looking for bounces. Two scenarios on Microsoft though, because it's been consolidating here for quite a bit now, like this 410 area. This 410 area is like the make or break. If we can stay below, I'm expecting that move lower. If it starts to reclaim 410, this thing could squeeze out into like 420. So that 410 is going to be make or break. Do we hold below? If so, 400's next. And below 400, 390, 385. It's been weak since the earnings. Just a little bit of time. You definitely gonna need some time with this play to let it play out. Next play is going to be Meta's just been ripping highs. I have no levels to really like that are really respected since they're fairly new levels. But AMD, this is what I see on AMD. I see a huge trend line here. High, lower high, lower high, lower high. And here we are approaching it again. Before earnings on AMD. And I know I'm going kind of fast. So if you have to rewatch this or slow it down, I recommend doing that. But I just don't want to make the video too long. This 113 level, 113, 114 level on AMD. This was a very strong support before earnings. It bounced. It bounced. Earnings happened, we broke below, and we've been staying below. Now we're retesting it as resistance. Two scenarios here. This could either AMD could continue to show weakness the way it's been for a while now. If it rejects this area and fails to get above this trend line, which has been forming lower highs, I am expecting this little rising wedge bear flag to go back down to 106, 107. If we reclaim and we hold 113, 114, we start to hold it for a while, this is gonna squeeze back out into like 120. So I'm either looking for continuation to the downside or a reversal. I need a candlestick confirmation at this level and just getting a better read on price action here at this level. So what is it gonna do? I'm expecting a move on it. Um, just depending on the scenarios that happen here, I'll get a better idea of what will happen. So that's the overall Sunday watches, guys. Nothing too crazy. I do like Airbnb as an individual setup. Nvidia is showing relative strength, so is Apple, AMD and Tesla, and Microsoft. That's gonna be it for today, guys. I hope you guys have a great trading week. Market is closed Monday, and thank you guys for watching. Make